Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Michael Gurney, who is co-founder, president, and CEO of Concept Systems, a system integrator headquartered in Albany, Oregon. Since 1999, when he struck out on his own and started the company, Michael has grown Concept into a national presence with regional offices in Seattle, Washington, Kennewick, Washington, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Concept has twice been named Control Engineering Magazine's System Integrator of the Year and is considered a leader in control system retrofits, robotics, vision, manufacturing intelligence, and an automation solution provider with an eye always on emerging technologies that can integrate to solve customers' most challenging problems. An entrepreneur at heart, Michael has also been instrumental in growing several other companies, including Motorized Precision, Wave 7, Willamette Valley Toxicology, and Pre-Laboratories. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's go back to the beginning. How did you end up in control system integration?
Actually, my dad was a control engineer, so I grew up around controls and automation. I used to always see my dad with the big roll of diagrams rolled out on the kitchen table and wondering what it was all about. So I got exposed to it early. I had no idea what it was at the time, but over the years, I garnered a sense for what manufacturing was, what automation was, and really what was going on. Fast forward, I graduated from Oregon State with a mechanical engineering degree in 1993. When I graduated, the job market was not very good. It was a poor job market. And I took a job at a system integrator as a draftsman. It happened to be the company my dad worked for, but I was a draftsman working up electrical schematics. It was a little bit overwhelming as a mechanical engineer, but I got really engrossed in it. I feel like I had a knack for it. I quickly worked my way into the engineering side of things, and the rest is kind of history.
What made you to leave that company or whatever company you were at and go out on your own and start your own company? And once you did, how did it evolve over the years?
So I left that company after about 6 years, and I left because they went through a corporate buyout and really changed the direction of the company. Changed it to a direction that wasn't too exciting to me. It was all around the Y2K hubbub, and they were going after remediation services, things like that. And as an engineer at heart, I wanted to engineer systems, so I decided to leave. And the plan at the time, I was going to take 3 months off, just kind of sort through things, what I wanted to do next with my life and all of that. During the course of that 3 months, I started getting a lot of phone calls from my past customers asking me to get involved in different projects, and eventually started saying yes to a few of those. And being on my own and negotiating deals, it was very exhilarating. So I kept doing it. That led me to joining up with my business partners and started doing it for real.
All right, so tell me a little bit how you went from picking up a few projects that came to you to evolving your company and growing it to where it is today.
Well, it was really about, again, negotiating the deals. So just having the relationships and knowing the business and talking to people about automation. We got a good reputation for solving challenging problems. We had a good way of looking at problems that our customers had and coming up with ways to solve them. It just grew. Our reputation grew. We grew through our vendor relationships. notably North Coast Electric, Rockwell Automation. Those were key partners to us early. We would go to those guys and make their stuff look good, and they knew they had a trusted partner to do so. Over the years, it's just a matter of coming up with good solutions to challenging problems, doing right by the customer, slowly but surely grew.
How many employees do you have right now?
Right now, we're at 70 employees, and that's a mix of manufacturing technicians, service technicians, designers, draftsmen, and engineers, both controls engineering and mechanical engineering.
So as I mentioned in your bio, you've got, I believe, a total of 4 offices, if I'm correct, if I'm counting correctly. How do you know how do you know when it's time to open a new office? What's the trigger?
We really look at it in terms of demand in the area. We're always looking where there's activity, and if we are doing a lot of work in an area, we'll start considering putting an office in the area. On the flip side, if we're pursuing a lot of sales and seeing sales activity in the area, we'll consider going into that area as well. It's really for us a commitment to having a local presence. There's a benefit to that for our customers and being close to our customers, but there's also a benefit for our engineers. If you're doing a lot of work locally, you can work on these projects and sleep in your own bed at night, be at home with family and friends. If all your projects are 600 miles away, you're doing a lot of traveling, a lot of nights away from home. No, it's part of the business. You're never going to get away from it 100%, but the more we can do to limit it, we try to do that. So Charlotte's a good example where we started seeing a lot of work in the area. We were getting a lot of projects in the area, so we use that as really a seed to start the office down there. Now, there's other markets right now where we're seeking out the market, where we're putting sales engineers out into investigate an area and say, hey, how much work is there? So we're directly pursuing that rather than like in Charlotte, it kind of came to us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you specialize in an industry, product, or discipline? And why or why not?
We intentionally do not focus on any one industry. We're very technology driven. We're a technology driven company. We maintain expertise in those technologies and leverage it across multiple industries. We do have some specific industry knowledge, just work that we've done year over year in aerospace, foundry type work, wood products. We do have some areas where we have a lot of experience, but our approach to the market is very technology driven. Those technologies are control system retrofits. So really going in with the customer and removing obsolete equipment and replacing it with the latest and greatest technologies where they can take advantage of the latest networking architectures and protocols, things of that nature. We do a lot of motion control. That can be electric servo motion control, hydraulic control, and CNC. We also do a lot of robotics. That's technology that's kind of emerged over the years, where when we started, we didn't do a lot of robotics. Now it's hard to go on a sales call where a customer's not asking about robotics. We're involved in manufacturing intelligence, so getting data off the plant floor and presenting it to management or operational personnel to make decisions on how to run their lines. Get involved in a lot of vision and process control. I know that's a lot, but again, we're technology focused, so keeping our edge on all the automation technologies that are out there is important to us.
Well, certainly in times like this, being able to have a diverse portfolio and revenue stream really helps companies be a little bit more resilient. I've been working with associations for my whole career, and I can honestly say I have never experienced a group of business professionals so willing to share, collaborate, and support one another as the CSIA community. During these unprecedented times, having a group of peers to turn to is invaluable. Whether the current climate means your phone is ringing off the hook or you're chewing your nails to the quick, now is the time to invest in your company, yourself, and this unique community that has a culture of sharing baked into its DNA. You'll also have access to member benefits such as best practices, insurance and legal programs, marketing tools, professional development opportunities, and so much more. To find out how you can join and contribute to this one-of-a-kind organization, visit www.controlsys.org/member-services. Look, I know these are some crazy times, but the CSA community is ready to be by your side. All you have to do is join us. It's hard to have a conversation without talking about the pandemic. How has it changed the way you do business or your strategy going forward?
The main thing right now is just a new safety element, right? So safety is always very important to us in what we do. We work in a lot of dangerous environments. The equipment that we're controlling, the levels of power that we're using to drive that equipment, it's not always the safest, right? So making it safe is very important. Now you have this new factor that we need to consider. So, and it's a little bit different, right? It's not operational safety. It's safety in how we interact with others and each other here. That's probably the biggest. It's going to be the most lasting. I will say one of the ways that it's affected us in short term here has just been a lot of remote team meetings. So we've gotten to know and love Microsoft Teams. It's actually facilitated a pretty rapid adoption of Microsoft Teams. So shout out to Microsoft, a great product. We're seeing great value in it.
What about your business? I mean, has it changed maybe the kind of business that you go after, or are you seeing your customers move from, I don't know, manufacturing printers and now they're doing ventilators? Or talk about that.
So when this first came on, we did see a lot of our larger projects either get postponed or delayed. And so right out of the chute, when it first kicked in, we shifted our focus to smaller, quick turn projects. Going forward, we see the larger stuff starting to pick back up. So some of the projects that had been delayed or postponed are starting to ramp back up, paying attention to the timing of that. And now we've got the challenge of this new customer base that we went out and thought in the short term, these other customers are going to come back and want to kick their project off, and just balancing all of that, kind of the ramp up and how quickly we're able to ramp back up with the other business that we had already discovered.
Is it changing the way you staff? Are you trying to scale up your staff in anticipation of an increased demand, or are you going to redeploy some staff who maybe have been a little idle? Talk a little bit about that.
When the pandemic first started, we were a little cautious in our approach, where we were counting on things to be pretty slow for a while, kind of entered a cash preservation mode. Now, with our shift in strategy to smaller quick-term projects, we actually weathered it fairly well. Now, that said, there was idle time. There were a little lower utilization than we prefer. So we started shifting our gears to, all right, coming out of this, what's it going to look like? And as I mentioned, with the new customers that we brought on, coupled with the customers that are going to be turning it back on, we anticipate being very busy. So taking any spare time to just be prepared for this increased demand that's going to be coming on. So additional training, cross-training, things of that nature were paramount.
So you're spending some of this idle time retraining folks or cross-training folks, trying to make sure that if they are going to be idle, they're still being productive.
Yeah, and really be in a position where we're able to provide value, maybe in a different way than we were before all of this. If we have a staff of 10 people that are really good at Rockwell's panel view, it'd be better off if we got 12. That was the thinking, is just broaden our skill set, take advantage of that idle time to be better.
So tell me a little bit about what's unique about how you approach a project.
We really take a partnering approach with our customers, where we expect our customers to be part of the project with us. We don't take on a project and go off and do our engineering thing for 6 months and show up on the partner's doorstep with a completed system. There's a lot of engagement with the customer throughout the whole process. And that really goes back to our technology focus, where we're not targeting any one industry. So there's certain industries where we're just not going to have that depth of process knowledge. When we work with the customer, we're going to bring that technology expertise to the table, but we're really counting on them to bring the process expertise. And together we can come up with a very innovative automation solution. So it takes a high level of interaction between us and our customers. We follow a very detailed methodology where we're basically ensuring open communications between ourselves and our customer. Stepwise process just makes sure that along the way, expectations are very clear. We're clear on what the customer is expecting of us, and the customer's clear on what we're expecting to deliver. Certain milestones along the way will stop. There's usually a delivery involved with that the customer is going to review and sign off on, and we're all going to agree, yep, we're on the right track here. Now let's proceed to the next phase.
With so many people working from home, canceling in-person meetings and events, and spending more and more time online, it's more important than ever that your digital presence is top-notch and that you find creative ways to maximize your marketing resources and get in front of your customers. The Industrial Automation Exchange and the Talking Industrial Automation podcast are the perfect places to start. The Exchange offers upgrades, packages, and display opportunities to ensure your brand is top of mind during your customer's complicated, research-based buying journey. The Talking Industrial Automation podcast can also help because now you can place your 60-second spot into the podcast. It's super easy and a unique way to reach new audiences. To learn more about the packages and advertising opportunities or how to become a podcast sponsor, contact me, Lisa Richter, at industrydir@controlsys.org. Let's face it, it's a digital world out there, and you need to make sure your company doesn't get left behind. Let the Exchange and podcast go to work for you. If you had to guess, or maybe you know, how much of your business is repeat and why do they return?
Well, it varies year to year, and I do know. It's an important metric to know, I believe. About 40% of our business is repeat, and it really comes down to the relationship and developing an understanding of how to work with their team and gaining an understanding of their processes.
What advice would you give to a prospective customer researching automation controls engineers or system integrators?
Do your homework. Use the internet. There's a tremendous amount of information out there. Any prospective customer, I would tell them do as much homework as you can before you make contact. Then once you do make contact, get to know them. Take some time to get to know the company and the individuals that you're going to be working with, and make sure they're excited about doing business with you and the type of work that they're going to be pursuing with you. But also look for credentials, establish relationships, experience with the key hardware suppliers. And last but not least, I'd certainly look for somebody that has the CSIA certification.
Can you explore that a little bit? Let's talk about it. First of all, congratulations for being CSA certified. Have you noticed that the certification helped you through the disruption of the pandemic, or in other ways that it's helped you that maybe surprised you?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's helped me in any way that surprised me. It certainly has helped us, and it's always helped us. And it's just a level of preparedness for business in general. And the nice thing about being CSIA certified is it's a very comprehensive audit process. We're not just looking for project methodology, but we're looking for sound business practices. To be able to have a reference guide on what some expectations are of certain business practices and hearing what others are doing at a minimum makes you think about it and explore how we want to implement that type of process. So I would really say it ensures that you're on your toes. For those that pay attention to it and really take it to heart, it keeps you on your toes. It drives a continuous improvement type culture. and it's an investment in being better.
Let's talk about trends. What kinds of trends are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
Well, the overriding trend seems to always be the same, and it's a rapid advancement of technology. Technology just moves so fast that there's always something that's emerging. More specifically, we're seeing more and more robotics applications, and not just because robots are advancing, but the technologies around them are advancing. It's not uncommon for us these days to mix vision or 3D laser scanning with the robotic application, or adding tactile feedback to a robot where the robot can feel and see now with vision and tactile feedback. So those technologies are really opening up what is possible. And then the amount of robots that are out there, the number of players coming into the market are helping drive price points down. So you put all that together and there's just more and more you can do with a robot that actually pencils out from an ROI standpoint.
Are you one of the 78% of CSIA members who said they wanted cybersecurity training? Well, now you've got it. CSIA has partnered with ISA to bring you a series of online courses that will get you the skills and expertise that are in high demand. This series will be offered throughout 2020 and is designed to prepare you for Cybersecurity Fundamentalist Specialist and Risk Assessment Specialist exams to earn certificates 1 and 2 of 4 that ultimately leads to the Cybersecurity Expert Badge. Best of all, you can access the material anywhere and anytime. To find out more, visit www.controlsys.org/cyber2020. Why not make this the year you earn your cybersecurity badges? I guarantee you won't regret it. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing the automation marketplace?
Well, right now, without this economic uncertainty, this COVID-19 pandemic has placed a lot of uncertainty on the market. Beyond that, I'd really say it depends on perspective. From a customer perspective, I think the biggest challenge is where to invest your dollar, how to go about automation in a way that makes sense and shows returns along the way. There's a lot of potential out there. Automation can solve about anything, but a manufacturer has limited dollars to invest, so they got to invest them wisely. And I believe each step needs to have an ROI to keep momentum going. That's probably the biggest challenge, is just navigating all the technologies out there, all the applications that can be solved, and where to invest your dollars. From a systems integrator perspective, it's really where to focus your energy. And it's the same kind of challenge. There's so much technology out there. There's so much potential. It's really important to be focused on a certain set of technology or certain applications.
Are you optimistic about the future of the automation control systems industry?
Absolutely. There are so many applications that can be solved with automation, and with motivations to reshore and price points dropping and new technology advances, there'll just be no shortage of projects in the future. And so the future of automation is very, very bright.
All right. Now I'm going to throw you a real curveball here because we didn't talk about this beforehand. But if you could not do what you're doing today, what other career would you choose?
Can I give more than one answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
What my mind immediately goes to, I really enjoy those treasure hunting shows on, Discovery, or being out on a ship seeking out sunken treasure. I think that would be a pretty amazing job. I'm sure they just show you all the highlights and the long hours in between. Actually finding something would probably get to me. But the other, I'd probably be a landscape architect. I really enjoy the outdoors, and I enjoy peaceful surroundings and a nice landscape. So I'd probably be a landscape architect.
So I got to say, I didn't see either of those coming. So just goes to show you how diverse people's interests can be. All right, another curveball. If you could go back in time and have a beer, or a ginger ale with your younger self, what advice would you give him?
Well, it'd probably be a hard cider, but my advice would be listen to mom and dad. There's more to life than football and basketball. But more seriously, I think my advice would be always challenge the status quo. There's always too many variables to be able to always do things the same. So make decisions based on what you see in front of you, your experience, and really most importantly, common sense. That'd be my advice.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you are interested in learning more about Michael Gurney or Concept Systems, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiaexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Michael, for joining me today.
My pleasure, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.